Mr. Church,
Mr. James.
I have a problem.
What's that problem?
I can't fucking finish a story, writing a
To
story in a
save it.
reasonable amount of time. I don't understand. So my goal this month was, because I started a news story because I wanted to submit it to this thing I saw, and then it immediately blew up over the word count. I was like, well, fuck it. I have a better idea for this. We talked about the story many times now. But my goal was to finish that story rather quickly, within a week or two.
Right.
At least the first draft. And then I have another, that Asher Kang story that I was going to submit to a magazine.
Right.
I have to finish it. I only got like 1,500, 2,000 words on it. So I want to go back and finish that. And both of those submissions would be due in January. Still not finished with the fucking one story. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm near the end. I don't get it. And I've been writing like every day on it. It's not like I've just been fucking off. Why can't I just be one of those people that sit down and write a story in a couple days?
Now, do you think it's like, oh, you get into the end blues? Because like we've talked about this before too, about like hitting good strides on a story, and then just when you get to the end, for some reason, like you're petering out, you're not getting it done or whatever.
No, what the problem is I've turned into a pompous literary asshole,
and it just keeps on ballooning into more.
I'll give you an example. Let me see. I'll bring it up and maybe I could read something. Again, this is the first draft, so none of this is even set in stone whether this is gonna take or not. Because by the time this does get published somewhere, people will have forgotten. So I'll give you a brief rundown.
Okay.
So it's an Appalachian Gothic. Time is not determined, but I want it set so you think maybe 30s to 50s, the latest.
Right.
So it's two brothers in the mountains. They're walking through the mountains. They come up to this clearing and they get like hit by like a freak blizzard, right? But when they come to this clearing, there's this really old church, like a 1700s church. So they take refuge for the night in the church. It's pitch black in there, but they notice these weird, creepy paintings on the wall with these horrible faces looking at them. So the first scene that makes this a cool Appalachian Gothic is in the morning, after having this very restless sleep with these fucking ugly paintings staring at them, they realize there were no paintings or windows. And then they go outside, and after the storm is cleared and there's like 4 feet of snow, and they see footprints in the snow leading to the windows. Like, what the fuck? So obviously that freaks them out. So they there's supposed to be a town a day's walk away. They're out of supplies, so they need to resupply. They need to get to the town and continue on their journey. They chalk it up to, well, this was fucking terrible, but hopefully we don't run into those people. But they're barefoot in a blizzard. They probably died, or they thought maybe they were like lost hikers that lost their mind to the cold. That happens. So they run into this peddler who has his little cart, and he's not very talkative, and they ask him, oh, hey, you got anything we could buy? He's like, no, I sold it all to this village that's down the road, and he fucking leaves. He doesn't want anything to do with the brothers. He's a very odd fellow. They go towards this village, and they had a map, but the map got destroyed at the beginning by some animals that got into their rucksacks or whatever. They see that there's this village. They find a sign, and they're like, this is fucking weird. I don't remember a village on the map. They have to resupply, though, or they're not going to make it to the place, their actual destination. So they hike towards this village, and here's where I do the cool Gothic stuff. So what ends up happening is, when they're going to this village, they end up hitting this weird fog and stuff, and they do reach the village. That's where I'm at in the story now. But what it is almost like because it's supposed to be like a ghost. This was for a ghost story submission. Right. So those people are obviously going to be like a ghost from 1700s from this village called Uriah Falls. These brothers accidentally step back in time, kind of. It's like a dimensional shift. And since it's a Gothic story, I can't talk about a dimensional shift because that would be too futuristic. For instance, when they're walking away from the sign that points them to Uriah Falls, the sign falls over and there's nothing written on it. So what they read was like, not existent. And then also American chestnuts are extinct they're trying to bring them back now, but they've been extinct in the Appalachian Mountains for 100 years or something. But they come across like all these chestnut trees. That's the first inkling that they stepped into a different time period. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then when they go into the village, things start to go very strange. The village is like there, but not there. So I basically have them step into a different time period, and that's where I'm at. But I'm going to read you just a random excerpt here. Okay. So you can get a feeling of why this is taking so fucking long. Because I'm a fucking asshole and just can't write normally. It doesn't help that I've been reading Cormac McCarthy. Right. So I think I'm kind of writing like that a little bit. I'll just read 2 random paragraphs here. This is near the end of where I left off. So they stepped into this weird dimensional shift.
And so, would
thing.
you still consider yourself around like the halfway point then of the story?
No, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm like 5,000 words in. What I'm going to have is the one brother slipped into the past dimension, and the current the one brother is still in the present but seeing this. So the one brother's going to get taken by these people to the church, and some kind of sacrifice is going to ensue. But the other brother won't be able to actually help because he has to watch, but he can't help because, some kind of dimensional shift. I still have to explain that. So this is them. They entered the this fucked up place. When they walked past the sign into the village, the fog absorbed them as a snow mound would a falling flake. Around the perimeter, an inconceivable ripple sent the trees to trembling in the open air as if viewed in the reflection of a rock-struck lake. When the ripple stopped rippling, time commenced to flow in its natural state. The howling, there was wolves, by the way, which are also extinct in the Appalachian Mountains. So that was another sign. They're like, what the we know, because they have a discussion about like, well, there shouldn't be chestnut trees. What the fuck? But then when they hear the wolves, they're like, we know there's no wolves. They've been hunted extinct a long time ago. So there's wolves that were howling, which is another sign that they went into the past. The howling faded away and the chestnuts turned to ash. Uriah Falls became no more than a few meager deer trails surrounded by adolescent pine trees that sprang anew in the chestnut's place. Now this one, it gets wonky. Inside the fog, the brothers walked through an older world, a cold, colorless world that moved as dreams move, with illusory shapes in the peripheral, with log cabin buildings that only existed when viewed directly, with eldritch susurrations ushering in the hour of vespers. They'd entered a world in perpetual twilight, untouched by the sun with its never-dissipating fog. Foreign faces appeared and disappeared behind shimmering windows. People wearing unfamiliar garments, plain-featured and incomplete as if half-rendered, passed by the brothers wordlessly, mouthlessly, and vanished as if they were never there. Straight ahead, a general store flickered in and out of time, existing and not existing simultaneously. The building transformed into slim pine trees and back again in rapid succession, as did the whole village and its uncanny inhabitants, a spectral strobe seeking permanence. Obviously, the language is what's bogging me down. But also what I did was, like, the whole thing's not written like that. Because they're going back, into the 1700s, kind of. I have it set so when they get to this village, the language gets more antiquated, which is why I'm using words like susurrations. So I thought that's kind of a cool thing also to show that they went back in time without just saying they went back in time.
Now, is the issue just like coming up with that kind of like, language?
No, believe it or not, that's actually been pretty easy. I don't have a problem with that. I think my issue is just the scene progression, like finding a way to connect these scenes. Because when you use language like that, you have to do it in such a way where it's not bogged down. But then when I have the dialogue in between, I'm having problems keeping the story flowing. I don't want it to like bog down into like some kind of stagnation, and that's tough because when you use that kind of language, it's almost like you have to keep going with it. So I think that's where my problem is trying to wrap up the story. Like I said, I'm near the end, but when I write one of those paragraphs, by the end of it, I'm like making sure everything makes sense and the word choices are correct. And then when I get into some more action, it just seems like I'm, like I said, a little bogged down. But I think the story will be good. I'm also worried, though, I'm not going to be able to find a publisher for it. Yeah. Because I don't feel that a lot of editors
are going to appreciate
I don't think
the wordiness of it.
I don't think they want that. Maybe more literary reviews will, but then that's when the genre stuff fucks it up.
Right.
Because it's gothic, so that's more of a literary genre, but still, it depends how I wrap it up. If I go too horror elements with this, I think I'm going to have a problem. If I could keep it with like a Dracula, like that kind of, like, okay, this is technically horror, but when you read it, it's not like horror,
Right.
It gives you the creeps.
Yeah.
That's what the story's supposed to do. I want to give you the creeps, like the scene with the fucking paintings. I think I did that in such a way where that's going to give you the creeps. That's not going to scare you, probably. It's going to, because there's no jump scares.
Yeah.
They don't get attacked or anything. But I want to do the story in such a way where the atmosphere is really fucking freaky. And I think the story could get picked up on that merit. Like I said, it's just a problem getting through, because if it's like an older person reading this, I think I'll have success. But the problem is, a lot of the place I'm going to submit to, it's going to be some fucking 20-year-old intern probably.
Yeah.
Are they reading Cormac McCarthy or Faulkner or anything that has that kind of language? Probably not.
Yeah.
Are they even reading Frankenstein or Dracula? Probably not. Because that's where I'm leaning towards on this story. That's kind of the problem. And I do plan on writing more normal stories. I have something I'm going to tell you off air in a second, actually, regarding that. But we need to get to our holiday wrap-up. But before we do, I want to know about your writing, Spencer. Because I've been writing clearly.
Let's get to the holiday wrap-up.
All right, folks. We'll be back with our books in review and books towards the future.
Yeah.
We'll talk about stuff. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast Holiday Edition. Woo. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, every other denomination of religious something or other. I am your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Danbury Dickens Diddler Church. You're diddling the corpse of Dickens in Danbury, Connecticut. There might be a Danbury in England somewhere. I'm sure there is. Sounds like an English name.
Right.
You said you wanted something cheery for the holidays, and my mind's been on Dickens lately.
Yeah.
I'm a big Dickens guy.
Got a Dickens in your mind.
Ooh, baby. We are doing a book recap. So we're doing a book recap. Do you want to go first?
I guess since I have the least amount of books and we've shared some of these.
Right.
So,
well, before you start, I just want to mention we're going to try to have a slightly better format the previous years. We're just going to list the books, and if you don't have star ratings because you're not on Goodreads, I'll give the star ratings on mine. And then after we list the books, we will just do the ones we like the most, and maybe whatever, the big disappointment, dud, horse shit, fucking cock-sucking, motherfucking, stupid fucking, what was that guy, Colson Whitehead's fucking shit. I think I read that this year. Anyway, go on, Spencer.
All right, so these are pretty much close into order. So the first one is The Divine Comedy / finished because I started it the previous year.
That's fair. You could do that.
Yeah, but it was still like half the book, I think. So
yeah, so technically you probably read 2 books this year,
right?
Because it's a 3-book.
Yeah,
whatever.
Smoker by Greg Rucka. American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Not Safe for Work by David Scott Hay. I just multi-named. Sometimes I'm not. I'm going to get them out of order. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by
Sexy Shirley.
Yep.
Shirley Jackson.
Born of Bloodshed by A.G. Jones. The Boy at Number 9 Whitlock by
Big Daddy Louis Stevenson.
Yeah, Louis Stevenson. Sorry.
Not to be confused with Treasure Island, Louis Stevenson.
Unknown Male by fuck.
We just talked about
we did by Nicholas Obregon.
No, you say it right. Nicholas Obregon.
Nicholas. Obregon. I can't do the rolling O's. My Darkest Prayers by S.A. Cosby, a collection of Poe poems, violent adverbs,
Advents, not adverbs.
Advents by...
Could you imagine a collection that's nothing but stories that are written just mainly adverbs? Fucking outrageous. We'll call it the anti-Hemingway.
Yeah. And then I finished the year off with Native Son. And when I say finished off, I meant like 9:30 last night. I finished reading it.
Excellent. How many books for the...
12.
So one for each month. My goal this year was 30 books, and I read 44. There's 2 caveats here. One, as you know, I marked down graphic novels.
Right.
So if you want to take those off, you are more than welcome. And 2, this is the bigger one. I have some books marked out because I was on a lot of books this year.
Yeah,
so some of the books I marked down, I gave them 5-star reads because I'm in it, and I did not actually read them. So when we get to those, I will say I did not read those ones. So I'm not gonna, we can take those off. Nobody cares about the actual number, but I did obviously break my 30.
Yeah,
regardless.
Honestly, like 12 is like my basic aim, but I like to last year I got around like 15, I think. So but it was a weird year for reading this.
Yeah, remember, this was supposed to be my year of reading a lot of pulp and odd stuff because I technically failed my last year's goal because I never got around to reading Ulysses. That was my big 7 books. That was the only one I didn't get to.
Which is still pretty impressive.
Because I was reading some fucking hard literature and I read so many other things still somehow. But this year I will read Ulysses at some point. So I started off with The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. I gave that 4 stars. Excellent. That's like a short story collection, but it has the aforementioned King in Yellow, which is
author stuff, right?
H.P. Lovecraft was inspired by that. 100 Poems by Seamus Heaney. I gave that 4 stars. Vermis 2, Mist and Mirrors by Plastiboo. I gave that 5. The Divine Comedy, The Inferno by Dante Alighieri. I gave that 4 stars. I actually really liked the first one, The Inferno.
Right, yeah.
And I also liked most of
Purgatorio,
when they're climbing the fucking mountain. It's just near the end. It got shitty. I could not do the Paradiso.
Yeah.
It was just too boring. I listened to that one.
We'll get to it.
Okay. CHM number 44. That is Cosmic Horror Monthly. That issue we got. I gave that 4 stars. I really like those stories in that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to write that down. Well, I didn't finish it. Maybe that's why I didn't write it down.
Correct. Horoscope, a Zodiac Anthology, Volume 4, which I'm in. I gave that 5 stars, but I actually did read that.
I say I read your story, but I didn't get around to any of the others.
Right. Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. That was my fucking... I don't know if that's going to be my favorite or not, but 5 out of 5. That contends with my most favorite book of all time after reading that. John Constantine, Hellblazer Volume 1. I gave that 1.
Yeah, you
by
did
Simon Spurrier.
You did not like that.
I think I read 2 issues. I said, fuck this. Robert D. Howard's Sailor Steve Costigan stories. 3 out of 5. I think you're going to find that almost every collection of Robert D. Howard, I give a 3 out of 5, other than maybe Solomon Kane. I think it was a 4.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't read that Solomon Kane this year. Bran Mac Moore and The Last King by Robert E. Howard collection. I gave that a 3. That might have been I think it was Call that didn't have enough stories. Like one of them was like mostly fluff. Nightjar by Paul Jameson. Excellent. 5 out of 5. That is because I read Life of Maggot by him either last year or the year before, which is excellent, but that's actually like not the sequel, but it's like the same universe. This was the first book he wrote. It was really good. Well, the first book in that, whatever it is. I Hate Fairyland Volume 1, Madly Something or Other by Scotty Young. I gave that 4 out of 5. Losers and Freaks by C.E.O. Hoffman. I gave that a 5 out of 5. I only read, they came on the podcast, remember?
Yes, sorry.
I didn't read the whole thing, but I read probably like at least half of it. I read a lot of the stories, and it was really good, the stories I read, so I'm just going to say I read it. Big fucking dud of the year! Thanks to Bryce Yole from the Arcade Bookshop, made me read Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. 2 out of 5. It's Vonnegut, so I can't give it a 1.
Yeah.
Like, the writing's still good. I think this was his first book. It was boring, man. About automation, and I just didn't... I think it was just the subject matter I didn't really care about. I got to the halfway point where apparently right after that, it gets really good, and all the action is what Bryce said. I said, I don't care. The Department of Truth, Volume 1 by James Tinian. I gave that 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. That's the conspiracy shit.
Yeah.
NSFW by David Scott Hay. I gave 4 out of 5. Listen to that episode. I don't know what number it is, but we did cover that. And we also interviewed him before that. We should have did that in a different order. Should have read his book and then interviewed him is what we should do. Paradise Lost by John Milton. 2 out of 5. The language, man. That's tough. Because they considered him, some people consider him better than Shakespeare.
Oh, wow.
I consider it just like...
harder?
Well, no, like... If Shakespeare just decided to write a bunch of religious malarkey, I just fucking, I could see the beauty in it. I just don't care. Again, the subject matter. I might give that a go again another time. I think it'd be better if I listened to it.
Oh, so you hadn't finished it?
The poem itself isn't terribly long, maybe 100 pages or something, but there's so much fucking other matter. Yeah. I read like half of it. But I do count books that I didn't finish, but I gave the halfway go. Yeah. I try not to give up something too early. If I read 10, 20 pages and then gave up, I don't mark those as read. Ethereal Nightmares, an anthology. This is put out by Dark Home Publishing. 5 out of 5. I am in that, but I actually read the whole thing, and I have recommended some of the stories to you, actually. Right. All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. 3 out of 5. To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I gave that a 4 out of 5. Trippy book. I really liked it. Haruki Murakami Manga Stories Volume 1. 3 out of 5. This was... put out by John Christophe Devaney. We did a whole bunch of episodes on this. We need to do some Murakami minutes that are good. Like, it seems like we keep covering things that we're not thoroughly enjoying other than his novels.
I got to finish, what's the third in that, like, the through in that trilogy, the
Wild Sheep Chase.
Yeah, I got to finish that so we could talk about that.
That's when it starts getting weird Murakami. Yeah. That's the Murakami you're going to appreciate. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. 5 out of 5. A reading from Curse 30, Room 301. I'm in that with the House of Shit, but I gave that a 5 out of 5, and I also read that to its entirety because that is one of those things that's cool because you don't want to skip the stories because they actually have a overarching story that connects them all. So you actually read it like a book.
Mm.
Bone in the Throat by Anthony Bourdain. 5 out of 5. I fucking loved it.
I remember you talking about that, and I was like, I might have to try to get that done early in the year.
It's so much fun. And I'm not a big mob guy, but that's fucking fun. If all mob stories are like that, I'd read them. Born of Bloodshed by A.D. Jones. We did an episode on that, and we also interviewed A.D. Jones at some point. 5 out of 5. Remnants by E.H. Reagan. She is in a bunch of things that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
We seem to get into things together all the time. 4 out of 5. That was her short story collection. I like that. Unknown Mail by Nicholas Oberon. I always throw the G, the rolling G. There's no rolling G. It's rolling R's, but I can't do the R's.
I didn't realize you read that this year, too. I thought you read that, like, last year.
Unknown Mail?
Yeah.
I thought we were reading it. I read it, like, right before you, didn't I?
Oh, I thought you got it done. I know you did it before I even started it, but I thought it was...
5 out of 5.
Very good.
Cemetery Dance, magazine issue 78 by old Dick Chismar.
Mm-hmm.
I gave that a 3 out of 5. I was not impressed by some of the stories.
Which would be nice to have the new copy.
I got an email saying they're sending it out.
Oh, okay, maybe
a couple days ago, I think. You get so many emails from them. They want me to buy everything they have in their warehouse. The October Country by Ray Bradbury. It's his short story collection. 4 out of 5. Fucking excellent. I need to read some novels, some more Ray Bradbury novels. Evidently, he's like one of my favorite writers that I have not read. Like Vonnegut. It's like, I love this one work so much. I need to
check out the stuff.
Foster by Claire Keegan. I gave that a 4 out of 5. That's a novella, and that was one of the first contemporary Irish pieces of literature I've read, probably ever. I don't know. Modern. Because it's Irish, it's fucking sad. Bleak. But I thought it was pretty good. Salem's Lot by Stephen King. 3 out of 5. The Boy at Number 9 Whitlock by L. Stevenson. 5 out of 5. I like that more than you did. We did an episode on it. Listen to it. Mary Shelley Gothic Tales by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. I don't know why it used that ridiculous name. Is that her maiden name? What is Wollstonecraft? That sounds like a fucking I don't know. It sounds like she's in a fucking cult. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was really just like one ghost story and maybe one other. Was it 2 stories in there? I think it was 2 stories. I don't know. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. 5 out of 5. Fucking excellent. I even went and rewatched the movie, and the movie, as good as it is, does not compare to the book. The book is really good. Ushers by Joe Hill, a short story. 3 out of 5. Interesting concept, just not long enough. Call, Exile Volantis by Robert E. Howard. 3 out of 5. The Story of Kullervo by J.R.R. Tolkien. 2 out of 5.
Oh.
It's not very good. It was like incomplete, I think. But I just that actually might have been one I don't even know if I actually finished it. I might have bailed before I got to the end. I don't remember. I don't think there is an end.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I think it's incomplete. Child of God by Cormac McCarthy. 4 out of 5. Violent Advents, A Christmas Horror by L. Stevenson. I gave that a 5 out of 5 because I'm in it, but also I did read it. We did an episode on it. Independent People by Haldor Laxness.
Your favorite?
2 out of 5. I read half of it, and I could not deal with the Icelandic sheep farming anymore. I just had to give up on it. Chew, Volume 1 by Taster's Choice by John Layman. I gave that a 2 out of 5. Mega Party from the Violent Advents by Caleb James. That is my short story that's in Violent Advents. You could also purchase that as just a regular story. 5 out of 5, but I can't say I read it because I read it probably 100 times.
Yeah.
They fucking wrote it. And just the other night, Spencer.
You snuck one in there underneath the deadline?
I did. H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu, the Gautanabe manga you gave me.
Oh, nice.
I read that. Excellent. I gave that a 4 out of 5.
That's the newest one that I just gave you?
Yeah, that was the one that was sitting right there. I don't know. I got a tickle to read it, and I did, and I really liked the art's the art's amazing.
Does it make it easier to digest the story?
You know what? It does because you could see it, but there is one issue. It's not a bad issue. There's a lot of the dialogue where it's just pages of the exposition because it's taken like directly from the story, I think. So it's still H.P. Lovecraft, but the art does help. And I honestly will throw in and make it 45 because I'm going to finish Cormac McCarthy's Suchy before the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with it, and that's a 5. I can already tell you 5 out of 5. That's excellent. So, Spencer, do you want to start with your worst book, most disappointing book?
Well, I don't know about...
By the way, that's Zone 0 or 1 or whatever the fuck by Colson White. Apparently, I read that last year, so
okay.
Not on my list.
All right.
Because that was garbage. That's my millennium shit list. that falls on.
The one I probably, Divine Comedy is the easiest one to be like, I didn't, just because of how terrible and stuff it is.
It's not terrible.
It's just hard. We're just dumb.
I liked it. Remember?
Yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah, well, like you said, the beginning of the stuff was pretty good. It's just
Imagine if I picked one of the harder translations to read.
Oh,
I picked the most fan-friendly translation.
Right.
But that's understandable. Like I said, like that'd be like my John Milton's Paradise Lost. Like obviously an excellent piece of literature. I just didn't like it personally.
Yeah. And then honestly, after that, like most of the books that I read this year, and I think just because it was probably like a lower number, that I enjoyed most of them. Like I didn't really have any ones that,
stuck out as hot garbage.
No, like the only one I could maybe say, and I mean, and I still liked it, but it was just a little bit more difficult to read, was like Native Son.
Yeah.
But like I still enjoyed, reading it and stuff like that.
Well, what was your best of the year award?
So
when did you enjoy the most?
Smoker by Greg Rucka. Like I've just been enjoying his the third book in a series of this bodyguard character that he writes. I always enjoy those, but like I'm kind of like a 3-way tie with like that, Unknown Male, and My Darkest Prayers by A.S. Cosby. Like those are kind of like my top 3 in any kind of giving order.
Right. My least favorite, I guess I should go least favorite, Player Piano.
Yeah.
I did not like Player Piano. It sucked. I did not like that. Let me see. I'm not counting the graphic novels because a lot of those I don't really care about. Also because most of them are like first volumes and you have to read more to actually get the story. And
I was actually gonna try to read that this year because like you said you and Bryce were gonna talk about it for his podcast, and then you just started talking about it, and it kind of put me off on like getting into it. Like I was like, oh, but then I was like, well, man, I should probably just get it out of the way because hopefully like that's the worst one out of the bunch, and then you can get on to all the good ones.
Yeah,
you don't want to save the absolute worst for last.
Yeah, so I would say Player Piano or The Story of Kalervo.
Yeah.
Again, no, that's a hard one because that's not really like, I feel like that was one of those works that wasn't meant to actually be read. I don't think that was one of those ones that Tolkien wanted published. So I don't know if I can say. Player Piano probably was the worst of the year. I'm trying to look to see if there was one that.
No, did they just not have like the same stuff that?
I just was bored. But also, and this is another problem. I didn't want to read it. Like because we were doing it for the podcast, like I had to read it. It was one of those deals, like when you have to read something.
And then you guys never even did an episode on it, right?
I don't think so. I think we have the podcast went under after that. But I just, if I read it under different circumstances, even so, maybe if I finished it would have been a 3 at best. I didn't think it was all that interesting. I've read the same story in different mediums that was done better. So. But it was his first novel, and it seemed kind of rushed. And I don't know.
Did it like was it its own thing, or was it also like Lord of the Rings-ish kind of?
What, the Tolkien?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Player Piano.
No.
It's like the same universe, but it was just like it's like his only tragedy.
Okay.
But I don't know. It was one of those things that just didn't hit right with me. I don't know. Top read of the year. This is tough. I'm gonna say Don Quixote.
Yeah,
I think that because, like I said, Lord of the Rings, Don Quixote probably right now are tied for my favorite books of all time now.
Okay.
Like I don't know which one would take the top spot, but Don Quixote was so much fun. I would have to read some other translations to cement it, but I think I just read the Penguin translation, but it was so fucking funny. But there are some other contenders that I would consider. Obviously, the Divine Comedy, best work ever.
Oh my.
It took fucking 8 years to finish that.
We still never did an episode on it.
Nightjar would be my sleeper of the year. I had a feeling I was gonna like it. It was so original. That could easily take the top spot. I mean, like I said, it's going to be hard to supplant Don Quixote as the best for me. But if I was going for just something that wasn't read by a million people, in indie work or stuff, Nightjar definitely would be the top. That was really good. Unknown Male, obviously, that was another one that I didn't like it as much as the first 2 books, but it was very close.
And like it wrapped it up like where like if we get no more of the stories with him, like it's what I mean.
Yeah.
You've got a full thing there, but there could always be more.
Yeah.
I hope there's more.
We have always lived in the castle. That could,
was,
again.
Yeah, I could have probably put that up there.
That was fucking excellent.
For a really good one too. Yeah.
Bone in the Throat by Anthony Bourdain. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. So for literary merit, we'll take Don Quixote out of the mix here. So for literary merit, I would probably go. We have always lived in the castle, the atmosphere and everything, and that was so good.
Right.
Just for fun, bone in the throat. Like if I just wanted a fun read, that takes the top spot. And then if I just wanted originality, Nightjar, because that was so original. And then and you know what? I mean, I gave Unknown Mail a 5 out of 5. Like I really fucking liked it. So. The only real issue I had with that is I was going through some personal stuff when I was reading it, so I probably didn't get to enjoy it as much or read it as fast. But the way he wrapped it up, I had no faults in the book. Like I personally can't find anything I disliked about the book. So that could easily be in the top contender list. Salem's Lot, that was, you know what? We talk about disappointments. I just knew I wasn't gonna like it because I don't really care about vampires that much.
Right.
I liked it more than I thought it was. It was good written. Like the way it was written was very. Stephen King's a hell of a writer.
Yeah.
So that was good. It just again the subject matter and just like the way things kind of.
Well, then, like you said, you maybe if you hadn't previously read Dracula beforehand too.
Yeah, because you're not gonna beat Dracula. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest could have easily been taken the top spot too. It was so fucking good. It's hard because I've read a lot of books this year that I just couldn't put down. So that could have easily been the top spot. And honestly, if we did this episode next week, Suttree probably would be my number one, because that might actually be my favorite book of all time, depending on how it ends.
Yeah, I'm
like 100-something pages away from ending, so I don't know, but just language wise and the subject matter is funny as fuck. We did the guy fucking the watermelon.
Yeah.
There's just so much ridiculous stuff in the book. Watermelons, yes.
More than one.
So
I was gonna say if I could two things I would want to recommend. Not I didn't read them. They're not sorts, but they're a show and an anime that I just finished, and I think would be real cool.
Okay.
The Penguin. You don't have to. There's no Batman stuff in it hardly at all. I know you said you're not like a big mob guy, but I feel like mob gangster kind of stuff. It's so well written and just really good.
What's it on?
HBO. It's only 8 episodes, so it's not like a super drawn out thing. Really well done. And then the anime is a newer one called Kaiju 8.
Monsters?
Kaiju number 8. Yeah. So Japan, kaijus are rare enough appearance that they have like special force units that fight and kill them and all this stuff. And for like generations, it's been around for a while. So the main character, him and the scorer, when they were little, their parents must have died. They made a commitment that they were gonna become part of this force and fight these kaijus and stuff like that. Well, the main guy doesn't make it. He flunks out. He becomes part of like the cleanup crew of the after the battles.
That'd be a shitty job.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And what I like about it too is because like he's like 32, and he's just like. He's old man. He's fucking too. So, but they move the tryout things again to like a later age. So him and a new guy, they go and try to do it again. But like right before the test, like there's a kaiju attack, and they're trying to just save some just random people. When they get injured, they go to the hospital, and this small kaiju thing shows up, flies in through the dude's mouth, and now he has the ability to turn into like a kaiju. And then so it's like that them trying to find out, like, that's kind of very anime trope of like, you are trying to take care of this thing, but you have a pot, but it's really well done. And what I really like about it, one of the things that really got me, the main character's name is Kafka. And so like this guy who can turn into this creature thing, his name is Kafka. I was just like,
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. And the first season, I think, ended not long ago. It's like 12 episodes, so it's not like a huge thing to try to get in, to get into right now. I liked it enough that I was like, I already bought like the first couple manga volumes.
What's that on?
It probably like Crunchyroll, but it might be on Netflix or whatever. I found it through other means.
Oh, nefarious means?
Maybe.
All right. Looking forward. Got any big reads you plan on for the next year?
I've been saying it for the past couple years, and I just haven't been able to fit it in. But I want to get at least one Stephen King book in because I haven't read any Stephen King in a while because I've been reading so much other stuff,
Yeah.
So I want to get one of his newer books.
Apparently his new collection or whatever it is really good.
Yeah. So I want to get a Stephen King book in. And then there's just like, like the next book in that Greg Rucka series. Like I've been trying to like do one of his a year, try to do like a Neil Gaiman book a year. I didn't this year, but Brad Meltzer, I want to do like, I try to want to do one of his books a year, like, so I'm slowly chipping away, but not reading people, like a big chunk of people and like getting like tired on them or whatever. So like, just like that kind of stuff. I'm kind of, when we get into the Confederacy of Dunce, that seems like that could be
fun.
Yeah, it could be fun. So,
well, I'm going to go through that stack that I don't need to. So I got The Alchemist by that guy Paulo. I never could say his name. What is his name?
Chahalo?
Paulo Coelho. I think he's Brazilian. But this is like considered one of those books you always have to read. Fight Club I got sitting over there. The House on Haunted Hill by Shirley Jackson I really want to read. So my next read after Suttree, since I finished that manga so quickly, I'm gonna read that The Alchemist because it's short, and that's it sounds fun. I think it's like an adventure story.
Okay,
and it looks cool, and it's that paper I like.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read that.
And it's under 200 pages.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna dive into that goddamn Crime and Punishment. Unless fuckhead Chismar sends us the Cemetery Dance finally, I'll take a break to read that real quick. And then, I don't know when, but you really got me itching to read this Confederacy of Dunces.
Yeah.
I actually sent Ashley a copy for Christmas, too.
Oh, nice. So maybe then if we all get it read, he can come on for the podcast.
Yeah, but I mean, this is one I was always interested in. And for some reason, this cover I really like, too. I want to read that book. So, Confederacy of Dunces, like I said, I do need to read Ulysses.
I think I'm gonna try to get that Solomon Kane collection.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Too.
The good thing about those is you could just read like a story a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, I was because like I brought those to the comic book store to show Mike because we were talking to him about them on book club just to see if that Conan was the one that he got. So before that, like when I put him to the side to take up, I would actually flip through that Solomon King because like I haven't really flipped through it since I got it for my birthday, and I was like, oh well, there's like a lot more art. And I felt like it was more art in that than in the Conan one.
That Conan one we had didn't have a lot of art, but the Solomon Kane does.
And like good looking art too. Like sometimes with that you get like a little wonky, but like
you know what it is? I noticed with those Howard collections, a lot of them that don't have as many stories as the Conan stories, they put more art to fluff it up. I think. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, because that way you're not just buying like 100-page book. You're getting some matter in there. What else was I going to read? Spencer. I'm going to read The Sugar Man by Nick Obregon when that comes out. Probably as soon as that comes out, well, I'll say we buy it and just read it and do a book, episode on it.
We've talked about this a little bit off air. Is this the year that we try to do the tackle and swap of like The Stand or It with 1QA4? That's the right numbers.
No, I was going to read 1QA4 with you.
Yeah, but like.
Oh, and you're gonna read It again.
It or Stand or whichever, whatever.
Probably It.
Whatever big Stephen King book you want to.
I think I'd rather read It than The Stand. Because isn't The Stand one of those things you want to know more about the universe? Or is that just Dark Tower? I thought you said The Stand has like some characters that show up in other works.
It does, but like it's like the beginning of like the guy, like the main guy in The Stand shows up in other Stephen King stuff, but like I think The Stand might be like his first,
Right. We also are gonna have to do. I mean, we'll do a volume 2 of that manga stories by Murakami.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in volume 3 this year because those are quick reads.
Yeah, those on. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like. I mean, we actually make it longer by reading the. If we can find the short stories.
Right.
Luckily, we got all of them in that first one.
Yeah.
We were able to read
Hopefully, we can do that with the second one.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. And then if we do the 1Q84 thing, that'll be our Murakami for the year. I guess. I mean, he got a new book comes out. Apparently, it's dog shit.
Oh yeah,
I think I sent you the article, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
I read. It was a pretty good article. It was damning, but it was good. Let's see. What else did I want to read? Spencer. I'm gonna read The Orchard Keeper by McCarthy. That rounds out because that's his first novel. So that kind of rounds out like his Appalachian stuff.
Now, do you have like a number again that you want to hit, or is it more?
Yeah, I guess we should cement that. Normally, I have a number. Usually, other than that year, I want to just do 7. I usually stick to 30. Because I seem to be able to just hit 30.
Yeah.
I've been sending Bryce these posts I keep finding of people like, I read 637 books this year.
Well, the fucking Colin, he got his 100.
It's a lot, man.
But now, granted, and he'll admit this, like, a lot of them are like
easier reads,
200-page like crime noir or detective like stories, but still, like.
Well, I saw a post where a girl said that she wants to hit her goal. She's going to read 3 books this week for her yearly thing. I'm like, how? But here's the thing too. Remember, like, we're writers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time. Like if I only read, I probably could easily hit the 100 mark because you figure I feel like a book a week could be doable if you're
depending on what it is.
Yeah, not Crime and Punishment, but like a lot of books. Like if I just even now, if I just sat down for a couple of hours every day, usually I only read for like 30 minutes a day. So like I'm not like I don't read super long all the time. I have sessions where I read longer, but I don't just fly through
not as often as you'd probably like.
Well, I write a lot, and then that fucking kind of rereading that is what you get mentally fatigued.
Right.
Is there any other big read? Like I said, I'm gonna see if I could read Ulysses this year and say I finally did that. But I'm trying to think of any like major reads that would be something worthwhile. Crime and Punishment would be, I think, an achievement for me because that's cool. I haven't read The Russians,
and that's a big one. And
because I kind of got most of like I got all the Robert D. Howard stuff I wanted to read done. I mean, he has some other like minor like horror collections and shit, but I'm not concerned with those. I don't really need to read more Lovecraft. I got that Ursula K. Le Guin collection I would like to read, but that's a big short story collection.
What about any more, what's her name? The Murder on the Orient Express?
Agatha Christie, I'm not too worried about. I think I was really interested in those. I just happen to have the book, so I wanted to read it, but I don't know if I'm going to actually dive into more of that. I'm sure some dark horses will just come out of nowhere and I'll jump on their backs and ride them into the sunset because I like doing that. Like the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was like one of those for this year, but then every time I do that, I seem to like really enjoy it. Yeah, so I need to do that more. But yeah, I don't know if there's any more like non-manga stuff or graphic novels that I really have to attend to. Yeah, like I said, Confederacy of Dunces, that's a big one because it's easier to say these books like, oh, I want to read this, and this, but then when it comes to actually doing it, it's a lot more challenging. But I think that would be, like I said, because McCarthy's Western stuff I'm not too interested in. Yeah. It's like the Border Trilogy and even rereading Blood Meridian. That could wait. Yeah. So I would once I read Orchard Keeper, that's like the first, counting the road, that's like half his bibliography. And then I don't really care about the rest that much.
And I'm also trying to paint a mental image of like what's in my to read piles. Because it's like, I should be reading those other than like trying to think of stuff that like I don't have yet. That I'm going to read that and I still have to buy it. But I still have like 3 stacks of books at home that I got to get through. Like,
ew. So I entered a contest for that Bloodshot novel. Okay. On Goodreads, and I didn't win it, but they put it in my to read pile, or my want to read pile. Oh. Fuck you. I didn't want to read it. I just wanted to win it. Yeah. I'd read it if I got it, maybe. I have 15 books in my want to read. Most of them are Yukio Mishima, and there's a couple, John Steinbeck's I didn't read. I did want to read Grapes of Wrath because I haven't read that since high school, so I'll probably throw that this year too. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything too major. You? No. I'm not going to just, flutter on the wind, but I have a list of books to read, and if I knock those out quickly enough, I'll get to whatever else. Yeah. I got plenty of things. I just, what I need to do is not buy.
That's what I said. Like, I'm trying to think of things that I've already have that's in the to read pile that I need to get. So
maybe that's what we do this year is try to whittle down that to read piles to a manageable level.
So no more Barnes and Noble trips? We
can go. We just don't have to buy anything.
Why you go then? That's like going to a fucking like whorehouse and just being like, I'm fine, ladies. I'm fine. I'm just here to window shop.
Just like sniffing them. Yeah. Like opening them up and sniffing them.
Well, that's like
the new books, that is.
That's like being that creepy guy in the corner of a strip club. Yeah. So you don't have to fucking pay any, like, give any tips or anything.
So that was a year recap and a year looking forward for reading stuff. Still went kind of long, but whatever. If you want to check us out, you could do so on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and YouTube at DPW Podcast. You can go to my website, CalebJamesK.com. I'm trying to fix this fucking pen you threw over here like an asshole. CalebJamesK.com to check out my publishing history. I have a lot of stuff you could buy. Some things you could read for free. Mm-hmm. And you can follow Spencer. His OnlyFans this for Christmas is the Danbury. Was it Danbury? Yeah. The Danbury Dickens Diddler. And what he's actually doing is he's flipping through that giant complete collection of Dickens I have. He's just diddling the pages. That's all.
That's it.
Dickens is dead.
Yeah.
And he's just bones.
Just bones.
So you diddling bones? No, you don't even know where he's buried. I don't. If I don't, I know you don't. Anyway, thank you for listening. And we hope your holidays are cheerful. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate any of the other holidays, I hope you have the best festive season ever. If you celebrate Festivus,
Happy Festivus.
I hope you're strong. Anyway, we'll check you out next week with our big reading New Year. Probably drunk. It's probably going to be a drunk episode. So we'll check you out for New Year's with our writing stuff, which is always more important.